Okay, if we're officially starting, as a preliminary matter, this is Curtis Smithson, the Zoning Advisory Committee Chair. Permit me to confirm that members are present. Just reading off the list, Madhu.
Present.
Ted Barker-Hook.
Ted Barker-Hook is present.
Mary Larson-Marlowe.
Present.
And Rachel Rawson.
Present.
Looks like who we have now. So we're missing John Catino, Elise, Ron, James, and Nisha, who may or may not show up later. But and then staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. John Gelsich.
Present.
Okay, good evening. This open meeting of the Zoning Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with the recently signed an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. This act includes an extension until March 31st of 2023 of the remote meeting provisions of his March 12th, 2020 executive order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. This new law has two major parts. First, the new law allows public bodies to continue providing live, adequate alternate means of public access to the deliberations of the public body instead of holding meetings in a public place that is open and physically accessible to the public. Adequate alternate means may include, without limitation, providing public access through telephone, internet, or satellite-enabled audio or video conferencing or other technology that enables the public to clearly follow the proceedings of the public body in real time. Second, the new law authorizes all members of the public body to continue participating in meetings remotely. The open meeting law's requirement that a quorum of the body and the chair be physically present at the meeting location remains suspended. For this meeting, the Zoning Advisory Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app. It's posted on the town's web meeting calendar and the ZAC agenda identifying how the public may join. Additionally, the meeting may also be broadcast by HCAM through one of its many channels or platforms. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and the attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, be aware that others may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. One, I will introduce each item on the agenda. If members wish to engage with dialogue with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Not every agenda item will feature public comment. For items of public comment after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. And our first agenda item is MBTA communities. John did a presentation to planning board that he was going to also offer to us, and then we can discuss. I think planning board is going to task us with moving forward, trying to take some action on this. Hopefully Mary can fill us in a little bit on what planning board's looking for.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I gave a lot of these presentations. I thought I already gave a presentation about this whole thing, and I was just going to give you the updates. Is that true? Yeah. Or did I not give you a presentation at all?
The updates are the new items since you gave us the last.
Okay. So a couple things have changed. The significant ones being that previously we needed to have, I think, somewhere around 990 units at a minimum, and they've now revised that. So Hopkinton is now an adjacent community, and with that, it means that we have to do a minimum of 750 units, zone 4, not create, but zone 4. So that's a reduction, significant reduction, which is good. The other big change is that we do not need to have the district located within half a mile of the train station. it can be located anywhere in town, which opens up a lot of opportunities for the town.
Okay.
We've already been talking internally about a couple sites. We haven't really nailed any down, and I think maybe that's something that Zach needs to do. But those are really the two main changes. We still have to have the district in place as of December 31st, 2024. So we have some time. We need to fill out a form, an action plan by the end of January 2023, which I think should be relatively simple. And then get the process started for town meeting. We have not been provided a model bylaw. We applied for technical assistance, but the first round is only focusing on, I think, 6 communities. So we were not selected, but we have been added to the pool for the next round, which they hope to have a lot more technical assistance. So I think this one was really focused on communities that have the district essentially in place and just need confirmation of that, and larger multimodal type communities. And the technical assistance was going to be from DHCD. The next round is going to be for a broader spectrum of towns, and they're trying to loop in the regional planning agencies like MAPC, CMRPC, to do the technical assistance for those communities. Sorry, there's some action in my side over here. Then I think I lost my place now. Sorry about that. All right. And we had a slideshow or a presentation from DHCD last week that was kind of just a summary of all the stuff that I just told you. They did not allow for questions, so we did not get to have our questions answered. So hopefully they'll have a session next time where we can actually ask questions that are more focused to what the towns want. One of the main questions we have is they changed the law, I want to say 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, to allow for lower thresholds at town meeting for zoning changes that incorporate the Housing Choice Initiative goals. And since this is part of the Housing Choice Initiative, I wanted to know if this will be one of those things where we only need 50 plus 1, but they didn't say it. We didn't get to ask it. So that's going to be one of my main questions for the next presentation, should it come up, or when we get technical assistance. Those are really the changes from what I presented before. So any questions, happy to answer them.
So what were the dates again? It has to be in place by December 31st.
So the action plan needs to be submitted to the state by January 31st, 2023. And the district needs to be in place by December 31st, 2024. And those dates are only for compliance with this law. So if we decide we're going to not move forward until town meeting 2025, then we just won't be eligible for the grant funding 2025. But as soon as it's in place, then we would be eligible.
Sounds like there was some discussion in planning board about, were the funds worth the trouble? Is that what I recall?
Yeah, so a member said that they thought that the funding that we received wasn't worth the trouble of getting this in place. But I think we still need to have the town make that decision. So we need to go through the exercise, get the district as best we can in place, not in place, but in place on our zoning to present it before town meeting. And then the town needs to do that, because in reality, it's not just the funding, it's the housing that's going to be potentially created. And
right.
I know that the funding goes to certain projects in town, and it might not be a lot, but the housing could bring in residents that otherwise couldn't afford Hopkinton. And this isn't just going to take place in Hopkinton. It's going to take place in every community along the MBTA and adjacent to the MBTA. So it's not going to be Hopkinton doing all of the housing. It's going to be every town zoning for the housing, or they don't get the funding.
Okay.
And the zoning is going to be in place if it gets approved, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to be built.
So we went from being a MTBA community to being an adjacent community because the station's not actually located on Hopkinton property.
Correct.
Okay, so that lowered our threshold, which
Correct.
make things a little bit easier. Okay. Mary, are there any things the planning board has discussed that we should know, or?
We had much the same discussions afterwards of like, well, should this be done and all, and it's still a matter of, yes, we need to present something to town meeting. There is not any expectation that we would have something ready for this 2023 town meeting, because that would be a matter of months. We'd have to have it ready in a matter of months for that warrant. So it would be expected to be in the 2024 town meeting. And that would be sufficient to meet the deadline. In terms of the action plan, it should be fairly simple. So it's not something that we have to write as a committee necessarily. That's probably something that we can do within the planning board and John. So that's about it. And as you know, you're correct in that, there's certain members that are like, are opposed to it, but I think that, it's just a matter of making sure that we present the options and the ultimately, when planning board presents it to town meeting, it's going to be, if we do not approve it, these are the consequences to the town. It's not absolutely required. It's just that there will be consequences if we don't pass it. So, yep.
I guess the thought is we will put something together to put into town meeting and let the town decide, or is there a chance it'll get rejected at planning board level?
No, I don't think that's likely at all. I think it's a matter of town meeting. Town meeting has to decide.
Okay, and you said there'd been some discussion on locations that it might work. I guess we could try to in the future.
So
No.
So I haven't brought this up to the planning board yet, but we did, for our technical assistance application, identify some areas that could potentially house this district. Let me just pull up my email. So, and this is just for discussion reasons, not intentional that we're going to definitely put it in here, but just these are places that it could go. We identified the IB district. So that is along 495 off of West Main and then along South Street. So a lot of that's already developed. We identified the Carbonis property and the adjacent property to the north, which some of you may be familiar with, some more than others. The center school property, because the town is looking to redevelop that, and that could be an opportunity to get some land covered under this district while doing the work for the town. The Elmwood School property, since we understand that that is going to need to be rebuilt in the coming years. And so that was another question we had for the state is, can we zone town-owned property under this district? And then maybe the sale price of that property to develop this land could offset any impacts to the town of that development. And then while I was talking to the representative from MHP, she had mentioned the 40B project along Lumber Street, which is Windsor at Hopkinton. And she said, just put that in the overlay district and change the zoning. And they're not going to tear it down, but maybe in the future they'll build something a little bit more dense there. So those are all areas that we're considering including in this district. And obviously we would need to get up to 50 acres. So however we can put that puzzle together to get a total of 50 acres or maybe a little bit more is what we would try and do. But that's where we're at right now. So if you guys can think of any other areas in town that might be appropriate for this type of development to be included in that district, think about it and bring it up when we talk about it, Zach.
And as a clarification, we just have to establish the districts. We don't have to actually move forward with anything.
So we would have to establish the district and then whatever language in the zoning we'd have to put together. So the bylaw itself. So we would have to change the zoning map and we'd have to change the zoning bylaw. But that's what we're waiting on a model bylaw for, so that we can just use that to start from instead of coming up with something completely new that would meet the state's requirements, and then we can change it as needed to fit Hopkinton.
Okay, so it sounds like before the 2024 ATMs when we need to have all this buttoned up and a district in place. Okay.
It would probably be for the 2024 ATM, not before. Well, I guess before, but yes, for that.
So that would basically be the end of 2023 or early 2024. We'd have to have something prepared to go on a warrant for the 2024 meeting.
Yes.
Okay. So we've got basically the rest of this year and most of next year to come up with something. Okay. Any other comments or anything regarding the MTBA community issue? Or being none, I guess we will move on to our second item on the agenda is tree protection. I gave everybody pretty much what I had gathered up about it, distributed that the last meeting. And I guess at this point, just kind of went ahead of a general discussion of how we think we should move forward. If anybody had a preference for the style of some of the different communities that were in that comparison that we might want to lean toward, I guess that's kind of what we were going to talk about today is next steps, what we think we want to try to do and how we want to approach it.
Through the chair.
Is Ted?
I think we would be wise to ask for some input from some of the voices that were more loudly flustered by the idea of tree protection bylaw. There were a couple residents / business owners / developers who pretty clearly said that they felt like they were blindsided, which I don't think is quite fair because all of our meetings are public and all the agendas are out there. But I think we'd be wise to pull them in. I would suggest that maybe a bit of homework might be to have people reach out to some folks, invite them to a meeting, or otherwise, I don't know, interview some people to get their thoughts on whether they think there can be any bylaw at all. If they say no, I don't think that means we should stop looking, but I think that we should make an effort to reach out to avoid ourselves some headaches down the line.
Wonder if it makes sense just to have maybe a public forum at one of our upcoming meetings, just to get opinions on, like I say, it may take reaching out to some of the developers and things.
Yeah.
Having them give us some comments and come and publicly comment also. Not sure I recall exactly who those people were, but I guess we could get a list put together of who it might be good to reach out to.
Through the chair,
Yes, Mary.
I can go through my notes from that time period. I took some extensive handwritten notes in it, that would supplement the minutes and so on.
Okay. Yeah, if we could get a list put together of I guess who might have indicated pro or con, and maybe invite them to an upcoming meeting to have a general discussion about, how it would affect. I guess developers are going to be the biggest concerns, because it would certainly directly affect what they're doing. So that might be a good next step.
I do think there were some landowners as well.
Okay.
I remember one in particular was talking about being able to utilize lumber as, an income on his property. So being able to use that and somehow, just making sure that it wouldn't, any bylaw wouldn't prevent him from doing that. So.
Yeah, I would have to go back through the ones we looked at to see if they addressed. I think all of them were directed more toward development rather than. So yeah, that would be something to definitely look at. I think it had to do with firewood, didn't it? They were wanting to make sure that they could still cut firewood off of their property.
I think it was more than firewood. I think they were selling the lumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember our original proposal that wound up being pulled, or ordinance that was pulled, was I think we had permitted that, and anything that had a state permit or had gone through the state approval process, wasn't really controlled by what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe if we could reach out to some of the people that had concerns and just get some input.
So since I was bold enough to offer that suggestion, I'm willing to be the first to say, I think Mr. Doherty up at Angels was one of the voices we heard. And I will volunteer before our next meeting to reach out to him. I'll encourage him to join us, but I'll also try to lay some groundwork ahead of time and ask him what he thinks is reasonable. I think, I don't want to speak for all of us, but I think we have the sense that there is a pretty healthy appetite in town for some sort of protection bylaw. So my hope is that Mr. Doherty or others will say, well, look, here's a compromise place we can go that works for all of us. So I'm volunteering to reach out to him before our next meeting.
Okay. And like I say, I would think some of the local developers we might want to speak to also. Is it the Nations, Ron Nation, and some of those that do a good bit of work? I guess John's probably familiar with some of them that come through. That would probably be another opinion to elicit before we get too far in.
Through the chair.
Yes, Lisa.
I did a little, not a lot, some background reading on tree protection laws in Massachusetts. And pretty much everything that I found was just about public properties. I couldn't really find anything specific about private properties. So, that's something we need to look into further. But we could draft something for public areas. Not that I don't know how much we can regulate it, but it could be a start.
Yeah, a lot. That was the majority of what we had found in looking before, was that there's a lot of regulation for public trees, but there wasn't that much private. And I think those 3 or 4 communities that I'd put in that comparison at the last meeting were some of the few that we had located that actually did kind of patrol what happened on private property. And I guess the big question was how, what's the appetite here in Hopkinton for something like that? I think this was all kind of born out of looking at the solar developments and, how they clear cut everything. So yeah, I think maybe a combination of what we had put together before and then some more entry on the private, controlling what happens in development on private property, and maybe trying not to step on toes as far as, if existing property's there, some minor cutting or trimming or whatever, there should probably be some allowance for that. But, just clear cutting a lot completely before you develop it, I think we maybe want to try to keep, save as many trees as we could. Most of the 4 that we looked at had setback requirements that basically, from what I recall, kind of went along with the zoning setback requirements. So, anything outside of the zoning setbacks, you could pretty much clear everything. But I guess that it started looking at what was inside the setbacks. So it's going to be probably a daunting task to figure out how to keep everybody happy and find something that could be approved at town meeting. But we've got to figure out a way to jump into it, I guess.
So through the chair, just want to point out that we do have the scenic road bylaw, which protects trees on scenic roads in the right of way, which is owned by the town. And I believe there's also a public shade tree law in our general bylaw. So there's already protection in place for public trees. People can't just go and cut public trees on town land without approval. So I think if we did anything, it would need to be private land because the public land is already covered.
Yep. And through the chair?
Yes, Mary.
I agree with your synopsis of, I think our goal is, and fairly much consensus, in this committee is that finding some way to prevent complete clear cutting of lots, and just, trying to figure out how to make that possible with development of buildings and things like that, and not terribly burdensome in terms of extra inspections and so on for developers. So
yeah, it's going to be a fun tightrope to walk, I imagine.
Yeah.
So Ted, if you could reach out to, I guess, Mr. Doherty, and is there a way to post something, I guess, on the website possibly about, a general discussion of tree protection, kind of a little bit more of an announcement than the agendas that go out, because I'm not sure that attracts a whole lot of attention.
We can post a notice. We do that for the public forum for Zach every year, where we send it out through local media and post on town website and stuff like that. I don't really know. I don't want to be defeatist or anything. I just don't know how many people pay attention to that stuff. So I think direct outreach to interested individuals is probably going to be more successful. I don't mind doing it just as a backstop, but I don't know if that's gonna bring the people out.
Well, should we say at the next meeting we'll have kind of a public discussion of tree protection, and Ted can talk to Mr. Doherty, if you can reach out to some of the developers that work in town and see if they want to submit some comments or attend in person, and just kind of kick the ball, get started on it anyway.
Through the chair, I don't mean to step on any chair's toes. I wonder if anyone else, without putting it all on John, could volunteer to reach out to Craig Nation. If anyone might want to reach out to Dale Danahy, I think that she's one who has interest in her land, which is filled with trees. And I'm drawing a blank, but the realtor in town who's developing behind Muffin House.
Chuck Joseph.
Yeah, thank you. I was drawing a blank. I feel like those are some names that would be helpful for us to get. There are certainly plenty of people we can talk to who I think would help us, who are in favor of tree protection. So I'm not only, but I think one of our missteps last time was not doing some of that legwork ahead of time. And those are names that pop into my head that I think have come up and been leery of our efforts the last time around. I don't know if leery is the right word there.
You said Chuck Joseph.
Dale,
Through the chair, Curtis, this is Rachel.
Yes.
I worked with Chuck Joseph on the growth study committee, so I'm happy to take that
Okay.
conversation.
So Rachel will reach out to him. Ted's going to cover Doherty. What was the other outside of Greg Nation? The name?
Dale Danahy, who owns some land off of, well, it's the Chamberlain development. I can't remember what street she's on. Over by that solar farm off of Chamberlain, and is it Downey? No, it's not Downey at all. Alexander.
Okay. I guess we could figure out how to get in touch with her or him.
Her.
Or you said Dale?
Yep.
Okay. Well, John, do you have contact information for Dale and Greg? Could you?
I have contact information for the nations. I don't know if I have contact information for Dale.
Okay. I would say I can try to run it down, but I'm headed to Arkansas Wednesday for about 2 weeks, so I'll be in a position to do a whole lot.
So through the chair, do we want to have this at the next meeting, or do we want to push it out? Because the next meeting is going to be the 26th. You want to push it out a month from now?
Let's see.
Actually, the next meeting would be the 24th.
Okay. Might want to push it out. I'm not going to be in town the 24th.
October 24th.
October 24th. I will be back then.
Yeah, it's either September 26th or October 24th, because October 10th is Indigenous Peoples Day.
Okay. I would think October 24th would probably. Yeah, I don't think I'm back till the 29th. I'm still not positive of internet access out there. Yeah, I guess we could go ahead and try to do that on the 24th, and that would kind of get us a little bit more input, a little bit more public input, or just put out an announcement that we're doing that, and elicit any comments that anyone in the public wanted to submit regarding what they would like to see and not see, and put a list together and start from there. I guess if we could get maybe a little more outreach for the 24th. And I can see if I can get a hold of Dale Dennehy before I go, or if it's not till October, then I could do it after I get back, probably. Okay, so we will try to have public comment regarding protection on the 24th of October. And we will say that's going to be our next meeting.
Well, we do have a meeting on the 26th, September 26th. We can skip that, but I just didn't know if that would be too quick of a turnaround.
That would probably be kind of pushing it for the public public meeting. And I personally will be out of town. So if we wanted to meet on the 26th, if someone else would like to volunteer to chair the meeting. Otherwise, we could go ahead and push till the 24th, October 24th for the next meeting.
I'm okay with the 24th of October.
Okay. Yeah, we
And-
can.
I agree.
Okay.
So we're going to cancel the meeting on September 26th.
Yeah, let's go ahead and.
Just a heads up, I won't be around for the October 24th meeting because it's Diwali, but it's fine. Like I can catch up on YouTube later or something like that. So don't need to reschedule on my behalf. Just heads up that I won't be around.
Okay.
Should we have the forum on a holiday?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, that was just a general question to everybody. Should we have the forum on a holiday?
I think that's a worthwhile question. Are we wedded to September 26th and October 24th? Is there anything in between that we could get?
So the
September
problem is,
26th is Rosh Hashanah, just FYI.
okay. I need to get all of these holidays in my calendar. I don't know why they're not there. So the problem is, since we're on Mondays, we usually alternate with planning boards. So every in-between week is a planning board meeting, which we really can't move.
Okay.
Do we
can
have to
move
be Mondays?
days. I'm sorry?
Yeah. I was going to say, do we have to be Mondays? We
We
haven't
don't
always
have to be
been
Mondays.
at all.
We just have been Mondays.
Right.
If we want to change the days, we can certainly change the days. We just then have to be aware of other meetings that are on in place.
So the 24th you said was a holiday?
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could we do maybe Wednesday of that week? Be the 26th, I guess. I don't know
October
what else
26th.
What else is going on?
Board of Appeals.
October 26th. What's that?
Board of Appeals is the only meeting that's meeting that day.
That wouldn't really be a conflict, I wouldn't think. Nobody on ZAC that's on Board of Appeals, is there?
John Catino is the chair of the Board of Appeals, but
No comment.
And actually, Wednesdays are typically not good for me.
Okay. Thursdays?
I like
Thursday's
Thursdays.
better. Thursday's better.
Thursdays is a good day for me.
Is Thursday the 27th? I've got a conflict.
Curtis, when do you get back from Arkansas? Can we go earlier than that? Again, is there something like in the first 2 weeks of October that could work?
I am back on the 29th of September, so earlier in October would work. We said the 10th was a holiday or whatever that earlier
Monday.
was.
do you want me to send out a doodle poll or something to everybody and see what works for them? Pick
That might
couple
be a
days.
good idea.
Thursdays don't, and not that I need to be here necessarily, but Thursdays do not work for me.
We'd
I
be
can-
lost without you, John. So yeah.
We would.
Just have to, somebody have to take minutes. That's really it.
No, you
Nobody
do a
wants-
lot more than that, John.
Yeah, we can look at what else might be available. So the Monday, we said the Monday before the 24th, which was the 10th, that was a holiday.
I can come up, Curtis, you and I can talk offline. We can come up with some dates and send out a doodle poll for everybody and then try and figure it out that way.
Yeah, that sounds like a good approach.
If we can, Curtis, I think it would be good to meet before late October. That feels like a long time to wait without doing anything. We have to have the regular public forum. We want to pick up the tree thing and really get moving forward. That just feels like a long time to wait if we can avoid it.
When is the regular public forum typically? Is that?
Late September, I think.
Yeah, my problem is out where I am in Arkansas. I've got a new cellular internet system, but I don't know what its performance is yet.
No, right. I was looking for when you get back. You get back on the 29th. That's why I was hoping that maybe John could send something out for finding a spot in the first 2 weeks of October.
Okay.
That's cross my fingers. We can find something there. That feels okay to me.
And then maybe we can schedule the public forum and the tree forum at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, that might be a good approach. Yeah, so maybe a Wednesday, said that Monday,
We'll figure it out.
the first week. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do the tree forum and public forum, and that'll be our meeting for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could just advertise once outside of the typical website agenda. Okay. John will come up with a proposal and we'll see what we can work out for our next meeting, and it will be a public meeting regarding anything and everything and tree protection. Okay, our agenda item 3 is the minutes of the August 15th meeting. I personally didn't see anything that needed revision. Any comments regarding that?
Look good to me.
Now we need to vote to accept those. Does they need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of whatever that date was.
August 15th.
I have not been sworn in yet, so I can't vote.
Technically, I haven't been sworn in either, so.
Maybe we have to table a vote on those minutes.
So I actually talked to Connor today, and if the board is not filled out, people can continue their previous terms until that seat is replaced. So Curtis, your seat has not been replaced. Mary, your seat has not been replaced. So you guys can technically still vote.
Okay.
Okay.
What was the date of those minutes?
August 15th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of August 15th.
So moved. Second.
Okay. We'll vote here. Mary,
Mary Larson Marlowe, yes.
Rachel,
Rachel, yes.
Madhu,
Yes.
Elise,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
and Curtis is yes. So we are unanimous. The minutes of August 15th have been approved as prepared. So we will come up with a good date for our public hearing within the next couple of weeks, and go ahead and post and advertise that. I guess I can go have supper now. I have a motion
Before you do,
okay.
can I make a plea to all of
Okay.
you who have not submitted your application, if you're at large to the planning board, but intend on continuing serving on ZAC, please do so the board can appoint you at our next meeting. And if you are a board representative, can you please coordinate with your board to have them send me something saying that you have been selected as their representative? And then everyone who has been selected, please get sworn in.
Okay. We have to go to Connor to get sworn in.
Yes, and you need to make sure that your ethics certificate, if you took it more than 2 years ago, has been updated. You just got to take the same test over, and I think there's a oath of office form, which if you need it, I can send over.
Okay.
Just let me know.
You said my application was in, so,
Yes, so it is on the agenda for the planning board.
okay. So planning board will say it's okay to move forward, and then I can contact Connor about getting sworn in.
Yes.
If I do that after I get back from Arkansas, we'll still be good, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I need a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Second.
Mary seconds. Okay. We'll vote. Mary,
Mary Larson Marlowe, yes.
Rachel,
Rachel, yes.
Madhu,
Yes.
Elise,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes, indeed.
and Curtis is a yes. So we were now adjourned. We will meet again in the future. Talk talk about anything and everything.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.